Avatar: The Last Airbender is the latest set released by Wizards of the Coast, and while I haven't personally watched the series, I know quite a few people who are big fans. And I have to agree, after playing with some of these cards, I'm tempted to give the show a chance. There are a lot of unique and powerful cards in this set, and sure, Badgermole Cub and Wan Shi Tong are currently stealing the show, but I went through the set and picked out 5 interesting cards that have hardly seen any hype, and that I think will be seriously good in Commander. Let's take a look. Starting at number 5, we've got Bison Whistle. For 1 generic and 1 green mana, Bison Whistle is an artifact that reads, pay 1 and tap. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a Bison card, you may put it onto the battlefield. If it's a creature card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard. Now, at first glance, you're probably thinking this fits best in a Bison type build deck. But considering there are only 4 Bison in the game, all also from Avatar, building around Bison as a creature type is a little unrealistic. That said, I think this card is still pretty good in any creature-heavy deck. Paying 1 mana to either surveil 1 or draw a card is perfectly acceptable in my opinion. And it only gets stronger with cards like Seedborn Muse, Unwinding Clock, or Unstoppable Plan, which let you untap your non-land permanents to use this multiple times in a turn cycle. I could also see this slotting into some top deck manipulation strategies, as it pairs well with cards like Huato, Honored Physician, and Sensei's Divining Top. Not to mention, if you've got a deck built around Maskwood Nexus or other type-changing effects that can turn your creatures into Bison, well, now you're laughing as you dump creatures off the top of your library into play for a single mana. Either way, I think this card is being slept on, and I'm excited to give it a try. Moving on to number 4, let's talk about Water Tribe Rallier. Water Tribe Rallier is a 2-mana, 2/2 human soldier ally that costs 1 generic and 1 white mana. It has 1 ability. Waterbend 5 to look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 3 or less from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And as a reminder, to pay a Waterbend cost, you can spend mana as normal, or tap your artifacts and creatures to help. Each one pays for 1 mana. And that's actually an effect we've seen in the past. Recruitment Officer is a 1 mana creature that does the same thing for 1 mana less, and it sees very little play in Commander. But there is a key difference between these cards. Water Tribe Rallier can tap your creatures down to pay for the cost. Not only does this make it much easier to pay the 5 mana, but it enables additional strategies in decks that want to tap down their stuff. I've already added this to my Wily Duke deck, for example, and I think it's a perfect fit there, as I have several other creatures that already want to be tapped down, and often they have a low base power. There are also plenty of decks that want to tap down their artifacts for various reasons, and Water Tribe Rallier can do that too. Even without these additional synergies, however, I still think Water Tribe Rallier can slot into many go-wide token decks. Animpakal and Marnia's Calgar both come to mind. Furthermore, many low-power Matters decks, like Arabella Abandoned Doll or Delny Streetwise Lookout, might also be interested in this card. And keep in mind, this is an instant speed ability, meaning you can hold up blockers until right before your turn to keep any opportunistic attacker at bay. It's definitely a card to keep your eye on. At number 3, this is actually my favorite card in the set, Combustion Man. Combustion Man is a 5-mana legendary human assassin. He's got 4 power and 6 toughness and costs 3 generic and 2 red mana. He only has a single ability. Whenever Combustion Man attacks, destroy target permanent unless its controller has Combustion Man deal damage to them equal to his power. First of all, I don't know anything about Combustion Man in the show, but wow, what a flavor win for red. I'd love to see more red removal options like this moving into the future. I think plenty of red burn decks are going to love this card. Even at his base power of 4, this is a pretty formidable attacker, and it only gets worse as you add equipment, auras, or counters to buff his power. One thing to note about Combustion Man is that his ability can target any permanent, not just a permanent controlled by the player you're attacking. This lends itself well to politics, as you can make deals to attack safely at one opponent while targeting another opponent's permanent. It also means that you can use this trigger on your own permanents if there's something you desperately need to sacrifice, like a Demonic Pact for example, or if you just want to deal yourself some damage to take advantage of a card like Anti-Blight, Bad Influence. It also means that you can copy this ability with Radiant Performer, which would be absolutely hilarious as you threaten to destroy every permanent on the table, even your own. Just make sure to give Combustion Man lifelink first so you don't remove yourself in the process. Up next at number 2 is Sun Warriors. Sun Warriors is a 4 mana human warrior ally with base power and toughness 3/5. It costs 2 generic, 1 white, and 1 red mana and reads Firebending X, where X is the number of creatures you control. Then, for 5 generic mana, you can create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Now, it's not exactly difficult to make a lot of creatures in Commander. In fact, I've been in many games where players have 10, 20, even 1,000 creatures on board at a single time. And while a player with 1,000 creatures is probably about to end the game either way, 20 creatures isn't always lethal. In fact, oftentimes it's not even close. That's where a card like Sun Warriors could come in handy. Turning those 20 creatures into 20 mana is insanely powerful. And he even comes with a built-in mana sink, albeit not a very strong one. Still, if you've got a deck that can go wide in any capacity, Sun Warriors is worth consideration. Aowen Shield Maiden, Othari Sun's Glory, Mr. House President and CEO, General Ferris Rakirik. There are dozens of commanders who fit this theme, and plenty of mana sinks you could add to take advantage of this mana. Battlecry Goblin, Warmonger Hellkite, Balls Invoker, Zancha Sleeper Agent, Staff of Domination, Dark Depths, Helix Pinnacle, and the list goes on. I especially like Ginny Faye, Jetmir's second with Sun Warriors, as she naturally wants to go wide and can use the mana to make 2/2 cats or 3/1 dogs instead. Finally, at number 1, I want to talk about a lemur. Momo, Playful Pet. Costing only a single white mana, Momo is a 1/1 legendary lemur bat ally that has 3 abilities. Flying, Vigilance, and when Momo leaves the battlefield, choose 1. Create a food token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, or scry 2. This is so much for a 1 mana, uncommon creature. It's flexible, fun, and I think sneakily strong. First, let's talk about Momo in the 99. Considering he has a Leaves trigger, Momo probably fits best in a deck with some amount of blink, bounce, or recursion, but that doesn't need to be the main theme. For example, you could play him in a food deck with Samwise Gamgee, a life gain deck helmed by Celestine the Living Saint, a counters deck with Galadriel Light of Valinor, a bat typal deck with Zorline Cosmos Caller, a keyword soup deck with Audric Bloodcursed, a scry focused deck with Elminster, and the list goes on. My point is, as long as you have some way to bounce, blink, or reanimate Momo, you can take advantage of whichever leaves the battlefield trigger fits your main strategy, while also being able to dip into his other leaves triggers as the situation requires. Not to mention, Momo is already an invasive, vigilant 1/1 flyer that can easily get in for damage or chump block. So yeah, I think Momo is a good fit in the 99 of a lot of decks. Of course, you can also have Momo be your commander and do a little bit of everything I just mentioned. It honestly sounds like a really fun deck. And there you have it, my list of 5 cards from Avatar that deserve a little more love. But what do you think? Are you going to try playing any of these cards? Or are there any cards I may have missed? Let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more card recommendations and reviews.